What's going on? What's going on?
What's happening? Wait,
Why you flip it, man? Why you flip
that's
it?
I gotta always do it like that, bro. Come up on the
Why you
other side.
why you flip it, man? Why you flip it?
I don't know, bro.
You gotta be on the
Gotta be on the right side, bro. You know what I
now who's
mean?
OCD? Now who's OCD? Uh-huh.
I never said I
Uh-huh.
wasn't.
Man, last night it was so funny. At the gig, the sound guy, what's his name, man? He's a really nice kid.
Yeah, Neil.
Neil.
Yeah,
So he had put my monitor um on the side, but it was kind of leaning, man.
right.
I had to pull him up and say, "Hey, man," I said, "I'm OCD as a mug, man. Can you straighten that thing out right there?" Because I was like, man, I
That's
kept
you,
looking
bro.
at it. I was like, oh man, I gotta have that changed. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to this edition of Local Musicians. Uh-oh, somebody's frozen. Somebody didn't pay their Wi-Fi bill. You know how it is. So we're gonna let Tyrone get adjusted. Looks like he's frozen here. He's probably got to log back in. But thank you for joining us on this Tuesday evening for another episode of Local Musicians XP. We are live on YouTube, Facebook, and also on Twitch. And so give us a like, give us a follow on YouTube and on Facebook. We also have an Instagram page where you can follow our page, give us a follow. We'll follow you back. And what else? Let's see. So I think I hit them all: Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitch, and as Brian Falgoose says, yes, frozen tea. The Podhorser says frozen tea sounds like a New Orleans drink. It might actually be. So yeah. Well, like I said, when you don't pay your you gotta pay your Wi-Fi bill, man. Don't pay your Wi-Fi bill. You trying to get it from your neighbor or get it from somebody across the street, I'm just kidding. I'm sure he paid it, but anyway, he'll be back in just a second. So yeah, give us a like, give us a follow. YouTube, we've got more content that's being put up. We started to upload some really great snippets of live performances, not only by us, but also some other Atlanta musicians who we always try to support. So our friend Brian Falgoose is handling a lot of that, and he's uploading stuff on a daily basis. So shout out to Brian for helping us out with that and getting us more content. And so we're just moving kind of right along. We've got some plans. We've got an upcoming jam session that we're going to hopefully start here in the next month or two. That's going to be based around a whole different set of skills than what your normal jam session is based on. So we're looking forward to hopefully starting something that will be both constructive and also nurturing for the young musician. We're just looking for a venue for that. So we've got some ideas that have been thrown out to us that we're kind of sifting through, but we're trying to stay away from the food and beverage situation a little bit and trying to just really, maybe if there's a little coffee or tea or something like that, but we want to try to stay away from a place that, has alcohol or food where we're responsible for what the patrons are doing. We don't care about that. All we want to do is deal with the music and have it be about the music and have it be about the musician and just the music. So we're currently, like I said, we've had a couple of ideas that have been thrown out to us that we're exploring. But if you have ideas of a venue for our session, we're probably going to do it once a month. please throw us a message or a comment. Get in touch with us somehow. I see Tyrone is trying to come back in, but I do not see his photo. Oops, he was in and then he's back out. So he's definitely having some technical difficulty, but we'll figure that out soon enough. But we hope everybody's doing well. We've got some folks in the chat already. We got our great friend Tony Sawyer. How you doing? Percussion professor Tony Sawyer is in the house with us. Brother Neil Fountain, he is here to heckle his brother Jeff Sipe, as I'm sure he will, and only Neil Fountain can. Brian, Mark, we already shout out you guys. Got Brad Thomas. Yes, Tyrone was smiling, but now he's gone. So I'm not sure he's smiling right now. I'm sure he's pissed off because his Wi-Fi threw him off, but we'll get it figured out. And our friend John Lamontina, how you doing, John? Says good evening. So we've got some people coming in. I'm hoping that we can get some. I'm sure I did a text message and let some drummers and stuff know that our brother icon Jeff Sipe was going to be joining us, and so come in with your questions. And you went online and paid it, didn't you? You just
I did.
Online. You went online.
AT&T doesn't play, bro.
You went online. Hey, did you have an app though? You went through the app.
I did.
Paid it real quick.
I pulled up my phone, man.
Okay. All right.
It was in there, bro.
I know how that is, man. I know how that is.
Got it. AT&T
back in the day, I used to
money, bro.
Hey, back in the day, I used to test the cell phone company. I'm gonna let me see if they're gonna really cut me off, man. Man, I got cut off in the middle of a phone call one time. That was like,
oh, bro. The very first time I moved out of my mom's house, I was, me and my boy had a place together, bro. We both forgot to pay the water bill, mid shower, bro. Shampoo, everything, bro. And something turned off. I was like, oh, there's no worse feeling in the world with shampoo in your eyes. You're trying to feel around like, what happened? Bruh.
Not the water bill, dude.
Water bill. And he was a saxophone player, bro. Saxophone and piano player living together, man.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. Well,
yeah,
I took care of all the housekeeping, man. So
thanks, bro.
Last
thing I heard was your OCD, bro, with the web.
Yeah, man. I was like, that thing was leaning. I was like, hey, man, can you come up here and fix this right quick? So.
Right.
It's all good, man. Hey, great night at the session last night. Even though I even though I wanted to play, but our brother Robert Boone came out, man, lit it up, dude. Had played a couple of killing.
Your drum set sounded good, man.
He did. I was like, man, I gotta reevaluate some things. I gotta bring a worse drum set out so he don't sound so good. I'm bringing all my good cymbals and stuff. I gotta end this, man.
Hey, bro, Misha came and found a sound on my keyboard I didn't even know was on there. Misha, I was like, man, that sound was dope, man. What was that?
Yeah.
And you know how Misha is. I thought that they just tried a sound and I thought it was yours. I was like, bro, okay.
Man, Misha, what's his last? I mean, how do you pronounce his last name?
Stefanak.
Is from Russia. If you guys don't, I'm sure obviously if you got to be in the community to know him, but man, he's a great guy, funny dude.
Yes.
And his nickname is Eastern Promises, man. He's from Russia. Yeah, he used to come out, man. Somebody told him he looked tough in the tank top one time. He started wearing tank tops and he had these tattoos and stuff on his arm. I started calling him Eastern Promises, man.
Bro, that
Russian mob
is stuck with him, bro. And not only did he just have tank tops, dude had every color.
Every color.
Into one.
Come on the gig. Come on the gig. You be at a jazz club, they can't come in a tank top, bro. Like, damn.
He doesn't care, man. But yeah, I always wondered what a person thinks about an instrument like drums are so personal. Like you guys, tune things and set up match symbols, and it's your own baby. The piano, you can't control that. Even though when piano players play on pianos, it's ironic that you have a different sound from different people.
Well, you guys also you customize your sound a lot of times though on the even if you're using a
Yeah,
keyboard.
but keyboard players are haters, bro. I mean, we say, I
You know,
don't
you
like that sound. I don't like the brand. I don't like this, whatever. What? And then
right,
and we're passive aggressive too. We're like, do you like that sound?
right, right,
And
right,
if you
right,
say yeah, then they say, yeah, I hate it. You're like, oh
right,
man, why you setting me up like that? But
right, right,
drummers, I think
right.
it's more of a community with drummers than keyboard players, man. I think
I
keyboard
I see,
players,
I strongly disagree. I think it's both, man. I think,
man, piano players are really insecure, but they mask it by
man.
I'ma say we, because I'm a piano player.
Okay,
We mask it
okay, okay.
because we assume a lot of responsibility in bands. So we always got to act like we know what we're talking about. So
I
name
hear
a
you.
keyboard player, and even a good one, that they will always think that they have the answer for everything. You're looking like, "Bro, that's not the right rhythm. You don't even know what you're talking about." But we're like, yeah, yeah, man. I took a Montuno, bro, and I switched it to Roomba Clave. I took the 2-3 that spaced it out. Yeah, bro, come on,
Right.
man. But
You
we
don't know,
do
yeah, you
that,
don't know all that. You
right?
don't know how to
But
do all
we
that.
do that because everybody comes to a keyboard player, and you can't say no that you're wrong. Me, I'm like, at the age I'm not, I don't know it, Chief. Why'd you do that?
Right.
I don't know. I liked it. Where'd you get that from? Made it
Man,
up, Chief.
those 3 words have been my favorite 3 words of all time once I was like, "I don't know. I I don't know.
Right, right.
I don't know. I don't know. Where's Tyrone? I don't know.
I don't know. But anyway,
I
back to
don't
my
know."
original question. What is it like listening to your drums, somebody else play it?
Yeah, well, that's the only way. Well, I'm not saying the only way, but it's a good way to hear because you can't, you're kind of trying to judge what they're
Oh,
going to sound like,
yeah,
but
you
you're
don't
really
know
trying
audience
to,
perspective.
yeah. So that's always a blessing, man, especially when it's a cat who knows how to hit the drums
Right, right,
because it's different. You get a guy that's maybe not as experienced or something like that, and you're like, man, my snare sounds, oh, why is,
right,
man, but it's based on how they're hitting the drum.
right,
But then you
right.
get a cat and it's like boom, they're like, oh man, okay, it
I was like,
sounds
that's
how
why he has a blue snare tonight, not
I blues. You go by color, bro. I just go by uh, like the sound. But
right, right,
so it's good to have, other people playing other people who you respect
right.
play your stuff and get that out. So, but man, listen, I don't want to waste too much time on us because we have a very, very, very special guest in the house.
Yes.
Um, and I want to say, man, as soon as I hit Atlanta, I heard about this cat.
Yeah.
I was not hip at all. And as soon as literally I hit Atlanta, I was hearing the name. Well because he was going by two different names at the time. There was it was apartment Q2 something. He'll explain that one. So I was like, what? I was like, why is it's like, oh man, his real name Jeff Sipe, man, but he goes by
I never knew
you
his
know,
first name.
apartment 250.
He
I was like, what the heck? So and then I was like, man, well, where can I go check this cat? Where can I go check him out?
mhm,
Plays in this group called the Aquarium. Another name, Aquarium Rescue. I was like,
rescue unit.
Aquarium Rescue. I was like, who are these? Where is these cats? What are they doing? Yeah, and then they play with this cat, Colonel Bruce. I'm like, okay, wait a minute. I was like, this is language that I am not understanding
At
right
least you got that. I didn't even get the first name. It's like, hey, yo, you hip to sight? I said,
now.
sight,
That's right.
sight. So
Right.
they're a bad
Because
cat
you
when you only got one name, bro. When you go
got
by
one name. Hey, but you got here what year? 97,
97,
96,
yeah, summer 97.
97. Okay. So yeah, man, but there was a buzz, and I'm trying to think of the first time I saw those cats. Um, but it was literally it was a game changer.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it was not only, I mean, of course, I'm there to hear the drummer, but then they got this cat on bass. And then, but another name, right? O'Teal. I'm like, God,
O'Teal,
where they
yeah.
get these names from, man? They got these names. Everybody got
Right.
these names, you know. And then I felt good because then they said the guitar player's name is Jimmy. I was like, oh God, thank God. No, okay, now I get it. Okay, got one normal cat, you know. But then, man, the keyboard player name is Kofi. I'm like, man, what?
Right. And then you
So,
found out they're brothers.
but completely blew my mind
Yeah.
because they were in the I don't care category. We've talked about that. Like, I
Yeah.
don't care. This is what we do. This is what we are here to do. And you are going to either get it or you don't.
Man,
And it was
Kofi is
somewhere
so
kind of
brother.
between fusion, funk, rock. It was like just, you know, it was all mixed up, but it
It
was
was
like,
everything, yeah.
but the cats could play, man. It was
Oh, man.
like, okay, high level. So
Oh, yeah, yeah.
without further ado, we're going to bring in our guest. He's a 4-time Grammy nominee. He's a graduate of Berklee College of Music and the Shenandoah Conservatory of Music. He's been recording, touring, and teaching professionally since 1982. Now,
Stop.
see, he giving up his age, though. That's the thing. You know, I'm like, man, that's like, you want to give your age, but
Man, you gotta wear it
but
with pride, bro. The dude been in the
hey,
game,
and the
man.
cat is
It's
wearing it,
good.
bro. You're gonna see it in a minute. I'm like, bro, because we had just a little hookup earlier. I was like, man, you in Sage territory, bro. You in Sage territory, which he's always been.
Right.
But I'm like, man, but without further ado, my brother, drum guru, Jeff Sipe.
Yes, sir.
Apartment Q 250. I can never read that. I know it's 2 something, Jeff. 2 something, man.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
There you go.
Hi, Tyrone. How's it going, man?
What's up, Sipe?
It's true. You know, I was psyched to so many people, and I was apartment Q something, barbecue 258.
Barbecue.
So
Yeah.
apartment Q 250, is that a Bruce? Did Bruce had to give? Was that something Bruce gave you, man? Or
Absolutely. You know, just about everybody who worked with Bruce Hampton got a moniker or a nickname because it was his contention that nobody really is who they say they are anyway.
Wow.
So he's gonna,
Ooh.
you know, to watch you for a while, and it took him a long time. It took him like two years or something to get mine. We were on our way up to Knoxville, and I'm driving. He's in the passenger seat, and the light bulb goes off, and he goes, "That's it. That's who you are. You're the apartment. You're apartment Q258." I was like, "What does that mean?" You know, but he introduced me that night, and then every night after that, and they just stuck.
Wow.
Beautiful.
Unbelievable. Yeah, we're going to get into talking about Bruce. And for those that, you know, of course, everybody in Atlanta, you know, knew Bruce or something about Bruce or something about his bands or the musicians that he raised. And, you know, funny Bruce story for me was when he met, his whole thing was he could guess your sign and basically your birthday. At least
guess yours?
He got my wife.
Did he get you?
He got me. He was a day off. He said 18th for me, and I'm on the 17th of October. Uh-oh. Jeff's frozen.
Oh, man.
So maybe.
There
you go. Hey, man.
Okay.
There you go. There you go.
Back again.
Are you with AT&T as well?
Today's been really weird. It's beautiful, clear skies, but the internet a little bit sketchy.
Right.
So, but Bruce, he was a day off from me. He did say October. He said, "You're a Libra." He knew that right off the bat.
Interesting.
You're a Libra.
Yeah.
And your birthday is October 18th. It's like, what? I was like, it's the 17th. But he got my wife right on the head.
Wow.
Yeah.
August 22nd. Bam. I mean, and you said he got you, Jeff, when he Yeah,
the day, the year, everything.
Damn.
I I knew him for 34 years by the time he had passed. And I'd witnessed hundreds of these incidents that were too weird to explain. You know?
You can't explain them.
Yeah.
For example, once my roommate, Victor Franks, and I and Bruce were in our kitchen, and we're waiting on Victor's blind date to come. So there's a knock on the screen door. Come on in. She opens the door, puts one foot in the kitchen, and Bruce nailed her sun, moon, and rising sign. And she just happened to know her astrology chart, and he was dead on. I mean, how do you do that? You know,
you kick her out the crib. That's what you do.
Hey, people would ask me. People ask me about Bruce, and I'd say, man, there's something to the cat. That's all I can tell you. You know, and so let's go a little bit further or back than that. I want to get to that, Jeff. But talk just a little bit, man, about you know, your upbringing, where you're from, when you started playing drums, and just, you know, give us a little overview of your beginnings.
All right, I'll make it kind of condensed. I was born in Berlin, Germany, to American parents who worked for the government. And so my older brother, younger sister, and I, born pretty close together, were born in Berlin. I was about 2 years old when we moved to Vietnam, Saigon. And that was crazy, crazy times to be in Saigon. And so things got too hairy, and the government airlifted us to Bangkok, Thailand. And we lived there until I was 8. Then I came to the States for 2 years. I was 4th and 5th grade, and then back to Germany for Frankfurt. Lived in Frankfurt and went to junior high school there. And that's where I joined the school band and started playing drums. And it started at 11. I was 11 years old when I started playing. Fast forward after that, I go to high school in Fairfax, Virginia, and went to Berkeley right after that. When I was 18, I went up to Berkeley in Boston. And I was there for 6 years, but I only attended the school for 1 year. But during that time, I was surrounded by so many incredible players. There was Kevin Eubanks.
Oh, wow.
Baron Brown and I played in a band with Steve Vai. Steve was 17 and I was 18.
Wow.
And our group was called Winter. And it was kind of a big band. It was a hybrid, strange thing. But there was Bill Frisell. There was Mike Stern. There was Branford and Jeff Tain.
Yeah.
Watts was there. Tiger Okoshi. So many, man. So many players. So wow. I soaked it all up. And I lived there as long as I could. But for a young man trying to get this stuff together, still new, you know, to a lot of it. Boston's a hard place to make a living and try to find a band, you know. Mm-hmm. So I went to Atlanta, 1983. My good friend Dan Matrazo, keyboard player.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what happened to Dan. Where's Dan?
I saw Dan at the Intercontinental. Actually, I did a gig with Dan at the Intercontinental. It had to be early 2000s or something like that.
Yeah.
He was trying to put a trio together, maybe, or something. He called me for some like a private gig or something like that, and never saw him after that, man.
Yeah, I saw him at the Ritz at Lake Oconee, and he was playing out there, and he had a little trio or whatever, and I hadn't seen him in so long, you know, and that was the last time I saw him. That was a while ago. So.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, we were good buddies. We hung out in Boston. We were dorm on the 5th floor dorm. He was my next door neighbor.
Oh, yeah.
And so he knew I was frustrated in Boston. He said, come on down to Atlanta. There's plenty of work. You'll find work right away. So I went down and stayed with him for a couple of weeks. The second night I was in town, he took me to a club, and there was Vance Taylor, Simon Carter, Dan Hofflinger, and those guys had a group, and they were just losing their drummer. I sat in with them, and they said, hey, you got the gig if you want it.
Wow.
So I went back up to Boston, packed up everything, and drove back down, and started my new life in 1983. I was 24 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what got me started. And then the year after that, I met Bruce Hampton. And it was a strange. Remember Dan Wall,
Yeah, Dan
Yeah,
was.
yeah,
Incredible, right?
yeah.
He hired me for a wedding, and I hadn't met Bruce yet. So I said, yes, of course, any chance to play with Dan. So it's in North Georgia, Dahlonega or someplace in the mountains. So I set up. I'm there early. Bob Lee comes in on bass. Nice to meet you, Bob. And then Bruce arrives last, and he's dressed in his everybody else had, like what it was a wedding, so we're all dressed kind of nice, Bruce comes in a t-shirt, kind of mustard stains, and a pair of shorts, and he has a young man helping him with his gear, and the amp is only this big. It's a Champ amp, right? And some red guitar you never even heard of. So he plugs in. He doesn't tune up or anything. He just sits, with his legs shaking. And we start the music, and we're playing sophisticated, smooth jazz, real appropriate for the wedding. And Dan looks over at Bruce, gives him the nod. Go ahead and take a solo. Bruce turns all the way up and starts playing random notes, just just noise, right?
Right.
I couldn't believe it. I looked over at Dan. I looked back at him. Dan was laughing his ass off, and Bruce had his eyes closed, and he's digging in all this random stuff. My first thought was, how audacious! You're gonna ruin this thing for everybody.
Right.
But Dan loved it, man, and he was reharmonizing. Like Bruce would play some random notes, and he'd try to chase them, fit them into the chord somehow.
Right.
But that was their game.
Right.
It's so great to see. And so the next day, I got a call from Bruce. Went down to sit in with him at the Harvest Moon, and there was 18 people on stage. She had some symphony players. She had Bill Hatcher and Randy Honey.
Yeah.
And so we're improvising. And about the third song into it, I had so much fun. It was so free. I looked at Randy. I said, "Man, I think I found my calling." And he looked at me and said, "I think you have too." And it was just no going back. The freedom that Bruce gave us was more than should have been allowed, maybe. But he was a great vehicle for everybody to self-express fully, not just a little bit of who you are, but all of who you are.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
And that lasted for quite a while, and we went through about 15 configurations before it became Aquarium Rescue Unit.
Man.
Yeah. How did y'all arrive at that name, Aquarium Rescue Unit, and how did that get started?
Yeah. Good question. That is Bruce Hampton was a poet, and that was a line in one of his poems.
Oh, wow.
And he would invent bands and dissolve them, and invent a new band, dissolve it, invent a new band. He just kept moving, And I think ARU and the late Bronze Age were probably the two longest lasting bands.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
But it was really, it was it wasn't that long, because Matt Mundy quit first, then Bruce Hampton quit, and then I left and joined Jonas Hellborg and Sean Lane and did a trio. We traveled all through Europe and all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Aquarium Rescue Unit. I love the name.
Yeah.
And it suits you guys too, because how else would you describe that music? I mean, you can't put it into a category. You can't say, it's this. You can't really say it's that. But when I think of you guys, it's somehow that kind of just fits the narrative of what you guys were doing somehow, some crazy way. I don't know.
Crazy is the word. That's it. Crazy name, crazy band, crazy music.
There's a lot of responsibility in freedom. People think that free is just it's not that, man. You have to. It's harder.
You gotta listen.
Yeah. It's democratic, and it's push and pull, and it's like, okay, I want to go where you go. I respect what you do, but you have to have some killer ears. You have to have knowledge of grooves or whatever. If you have to try to set parameters, even though it's free. I mean, it's all these different things that you negotiate, and you do it night after night. It could be taxing, and you could,
Takes a lot out of you.
yeah,
Mhm.
and you have to have the right people. Can you talk about that a little bit, Jeff?
Yeah, absolutely. When I met Bruce, he was 37 or 38. He was an athlete. He was coaching softball, and the energy coming off of him, it was incredible sometimes. I swore laser beams were shooting out of his eyes sometimes.
Yeah.
He had so much energy, and he was so playful, like an 8-year-old kid having the time of his life with his best friends. And so that was the vibe, especially in the beginning. It was performance art. If you wanted to stand up and do a dance in the middle of a song, that was part of the song. Anything you wanted to do. Like I said earlier, he gave us more freedom than he probably, should have allowed. But that gave us such trust in each other and ourselves that we could go someplace and Oteil had my back.
Right.
Right.
And he would go
Right.
somewhere and I would just slip right underneath it.
Man.
And
Woo.
just kind of, hit him once in a while and
Right.
buoy him up.
Man, that's beautiful, man. That's
Yeah.
I mean, that's really beautiful because that's what any kind of improvisational music or anything where you're kind of you do get left out there, for if Tyrone and I play a lot together. We played hundreds of gigs together.
Yeah.
And it's that same sort of, you try to support the other one no matter where they want to go. You try to help them get there,
Right.
and that's what when I used to watch you guys, I didn't understand it at the time because I just wasn't my brain wasn't developed and I hadn't taken any of those chances myself as an artist. So to watch you cats do that, I was like, man, how is this possible? And then they would all come back together at some
Yeah.
point, that was always mesmerizing to myself, who was, a fairly young cat at the time, checking you guys out. And that was, you know, that whole especially, I saw gigs where you guys were just improvising. There was no songs.
That's right. The song came later as it was a performance art band first, and music was just a part of it. There were antics and improv skits,
Right.
just crazy stuff. And then we run to our instruments and play tune, but little by little, the music got more important than the antics.
Wow.
And the antics were just a little sprinkling on top of the music after a while.
Right.
But Tyrone, you said negotiating with your fellow musicians, and you're doing that in the nanosecond.
Right.
You're playing, and one note might lead you over here.
Right.
One rhythm might, put you in a different place, and the willingness,
right,
to join together happily in that new place and not judge it. There was no judgment. It was there was really kind of no right, no wrong. It was just what you could do in the moment to really bring life and energy, and not just life, but exciting life.
Did you guys? I'm sorry. Go ahead. Finish. I'm sorry.
That's it.
I did the way you're talking about it. I often thought about this. Do you ever try to recapture moments or fight the urge to recapture moments that, say, you played a gig last night and y'all had this very nice thing that developed and say, okay, let's do it again? Or do you just say, let's leave it alone and explore something else? Or do you remember those moments and you say, idea worth going over again?
Absolutely. When you're playing with a band 300 days a year,
right?
The arrangements are writing themselves night by night. Somebody will do something and everybody's like, oh man, that was awesome, and you just hope they do it again.
Right.
And if they get, some positive feedback, they take that and they mutate it and they change it up a little bit. And it's just moving from week to week. From month to month, it's a different kind of arrangement because we're we were playing that often, and with that kind of a spirit, it's like, what can we do with this? And the freshness was always there. It never got stale. It didn't get a chance to get stale. Bruce would come in and change things up. When he thought, I think when Bruce looked at us and thought we were just a little bit too musical, he would destroy it. He would destroy it. Wow. So it was his job. Our job was to put him up on a silver platter, and then he would just destroy it, and we would put him back up on another silver platter.
He'd jump off that bad boy.
He would. Like a kid just walking through your blocks. You set up this nice castle box. He just walks right through it.
Right. Man.
He would walk through my drum set in the middle of a song, just right through it, and it was like Moses parting the sea. Floor time here, ride cymbal over there, and then I have to go get it and put it back together.
Man, I swear, when I was enthralled by Kofi, I don't know if a lot of people know how bad that cat was, but
yeah,
I swear I couldn't find a wrong note from that cat.
Yeah.
Even
right.
in experimentation, I couldn't find like a flub or whatever. It was like he was so intentional about what he played.
Right.
And I'm like, the junk fits. I don't know. I don't care how out the thing is. Oh man, it was just crazy.
You're right. Exactly right, man. I met Kofi in '87, I think. And he came over to the house. It was a group that we were trying to get off the ground as a top 40 band called Knee Deep with Dan Hofflinger and Sam Geff. Yeah. And we heard about these two brothers who were moving to town. And so they came over, they joined the band. I remember the first time we got together in my living room. And we were just going for it, playing all these. We got into this 1-5-8 thing. And they started writing this melody. And the tune was it just came out like a perfect tune. Wow. With a B section that moved and it came back to the 5/8 thing and everybody hit it. And it was like, man, I've never played with cats on this level, with this intuition. And the brothers were like one mind.
Right.
Yeah. And Kofi, every time I was in the studio with Kofi, which was quite a lot, all of his solos, without exception, were first take.
Yeah.
And if you asked him for a second take, he would oblige, but he didn't think it was necessary.
Right.
He knew it wasn't necessary.
He knew it. It.
Well, talk a little bit about the incarnation of ARU. How you guys? I know you just said Kofi and Oteil came over. You guys found each other first. How did you guys find Jimmy Herring, and how did that sort of all kind of come together?
Well, I was already playing with Bruce in these various different configurations. And I had met Jimmy just before I met the brothers. I was playing with Scott Henderson, the guitar player. Mm-hmm. And he came over for GIT. Before it was MIT, it was GIT, Guitar Institute of Technology.
Right. Yeah.
And Steve Freeman was the head of the department there. And so there was this clinic that Scott Henderson needed a local band together. So Russ Rogers and myself and Dan and Hexter.
Randy
Hexter. Yeah. Randy Hexter was on. And so we did the gig. It turned out really great. And Jimmy came up to introduce himself. He said, "Hi, I'm Jimmy. I play guitar. Man, I would love to play sometime." And I said, "What are you doing tomorrow?" And he said, "Nothing." He came over to the house and he started playing. I just fell in love with it, and we've been friends ever since. So I had a band called Mystificus, and it was Kofi, Oteil, Jimmy, and Charlie Williams. And we were playing original fusion stuff in my garage. And one day, Oteil comes in, he throws his bass down, he goes, "Man, I'm so tired of this top 40 scene around here. It's Carlos McGee's gigs." And I said, "Well, come on, we're playing the point, little 5 points. Come on down. I'm playing with Bruce, and we just do what we want to play. We play, we just have fun. You'll have fun." So, okay, we drive up. I bring Oteil to the gig in my Nova. I got a 16.9 Nova. It's all hunched up, and it was a great bad car for a 25-year-old. It was awful.
Right.
And in the trunk was the SVT bass cabinet.
Oh,
Those trunks were big, man. We put the whole SVT bass cabinet in there. We're taking it out and loading into the front door, little 5 points. And Bruce comes walking up. I said, "Hey, Bruce, I want to introduce you to O." And I couldn't even say his full name before Bruce guessed his birthday, August 24th, right to the year.
Wow.
And it turns out that 4 of Bruce's bass players in his bands have all been August 24th.
Wow.
Kind of auspicious,
Very strange.
And so we played that gig. And then I told him, Jimmy Herring is a great guitar player. Maybe we should have him sit in. Bruce agreed. So I brought O'Teal and I brought Jimmy to the group. And then I brought Jeff Mosier, the banjo player. And then Jeff Mosier found Matt Mundy up in Cumming, Georgia, playing bluegrass with his family. So he came down and sat in at the Point. We were playing every Tuesday night by then at the Point. And it was electric.
Wow.
Jeff, I remember, and I don't know if you even remember this, you were doing like a clinic masterclass kind of thing, and I was like the keyboard player, but I can't remember where it was. But one of the things you were talking about to the students was the influence of like tabla music, like Indian tabla music. And I thought that was really profound that, as accomplished as you were still learning and still developing things about your playing. And I was really impressed by that because you had gone away for a while. I think you went to Asheville. I can't remember. And then you came back and man, you had tightened up a lot of stuff in your playing. And I remember, I think I asked you, it's like, man, what have you been doing? You like, I identified something I wanted to work on or needed to work on in my playing, and you totally worked on it. It was crazy. So can you talk about both of those things a little bit, the influence of tabla playing and also your willingness to work on yourself?
Oh, yeah. I came in late to groove music. I was an experimental guy, jazz, kind of even, like some ECM kind of stuff. When I hit Atlanta, Vance tightened me up quite a bit. It's all about the 2 and 4. All this other stuff is great, but you gotta nail that 2 and 4, man. So he was a huge help. And then a friend of mine told me once after a gig, said, "Sipe, you have good rhythm, but you don't have good time." And I could tell he was being frustrated, not being able to play all of his ideas because I was getting in the way or something, not holding it, together. So I made sure that I would never get that comment again. So I went into my practice room, and I've always been like 5 hours a day minimum. I always love practicing. So I got the Franz metronome. I had a light on it. You could turn the sound off.
Right.
This old wooden thing. I put it on a stool in front of the drum. The lights off, and zeroed it in on the pulse. And I looked away. I looked away after 2 bars, and I was off. And I could. It was a revelation. It was like I thought I was better than this. So it occurred to me that I was robbing the space between the notes. I wasn't giving the note length its full value. So by the end of the bar, I was ahead. So, okay, how do you fix that? Well, you could practice your whole life with a metronome trying to chase it and still never take 100% responsibility for the time. Only when you move that pulse to another subdivision in the group, then you're the only one playing one, and the metronome is answering you. So I put it on the E, and I would play 1 and a 2 and the metronome's on the E.
Right.
And if I made that sound good, then I understood the full length of the first note, because my perception of it was that I was just robbing the space between the notes. And if you do that between the first 2 notes, then you're way ahead by by the second bar or something. You're way ahead of everybody. Even if it sounds good to you, you know. So I got into the nanosecond timing of that. Really made it like a ritual.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I got turned on. Jonas Hellborg, bass player who played with John McLaughlin in Mahavishnu. The second Mahavishnu was with Bill Evans, Jim Beard, rest in peace, and Jonas Hellborg was on bass. So he hit me to this T high, and what a T high is in Indian classical music is a rhythm that you play 3 times, either with no gaps or with various gaps between those phrases. But the last note of the third phrase is the one. So a simple one would be takadimi-ta, takadimi-ta, takadimi-ta. Takadimi-ta is the phrase, played 3 times, separated by 1 beat of silence. Takadimi-ta, takadimi-ta, takadimi-ta. So the last note is the beginning. So I just love that whole, the beginning is the end is the beginning. It's and it's like a harmonic turnaround in the West. You might have a 2-5-1 to bring it back home.
Right.
You have a rhythm in Indian music to bring it back home. So these rhythms are as varied as you know, seemingly endless possibilities. And the first one I learned was this one. So on the hand, let me get there it is. Here's my pointer, the thumb. So I'll point to this knuckle, and then this knuckle, and then the tip of the finger. And you end up having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, right on your hands there.
Oh, wow.
And so this one he taught me was 3 groups of 5. No, it's 4 groups of 5, but they reduce. So you have 5 quarter notes, then 5 dotted eighths, then 5 eighths, then 5 sixteenths. Wow. And then it resolves right before the 1. So this is the first one I learned is 1, 2, ready, go. Da, di, ge, na, doom. Da, di, ge. Let me do that again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Da, di, ge, na, doom. Da, di, ge, na, doom. Da, di, ge, na, doom. Da, di, ge, na, da. So, right?
Yeah.
Da, di, ge, na, doom. Da, di, ge, na, doom. Da, di, ge, na, doom. Da, di, ge, na, da. I can't play.
That's good.
But that was cool. That just opened up my whole world. Now check this one out. This is cool. My tabla friend from India, Moyok Bhowmik, great tabla player. He hipped me to this counting method that you can apply to these T highs, and it's visual and it's right there. You don't have to keep it in your head. You can actually see it and count along with it. So if you're doing 3 groups of 11, you start here and end up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Because 3 11s are 33, so it gives you the 32 beats you need here, plus the extra one for the downbeat.
Wow.
So if you want to do 5 with 2 gaps, you're here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Wow.
You want to do 5 with 1 gap. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 with no gap.
Always end up there.
Right? Yeah, it's just a matter of where you have to start in the right place to end up in the right place.
Right.
So you might have like a 4-bar phrase, right?
Right.
And then you would know how much time you have to keep before you start the series. So 5 with no gaps would be 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1. 1. Let me do that again. 1, 2, 3. 1, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I didn't do this right. I should have done my homework.
That's all right. No,
But I'll do this one.
We get it, man.
I
Yeah,
did that with this one. This one is the 5 with no gaps right here.
that's right.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
There it is. Yeah.
Right? And so you can do a series of 4s starting here, starting 3s here, starting 2s here, and then 1s. I'll go deeper into it next time.
Oh, man, that was dope,
amazing, man.
That was
But
dope.
We had a question that ties into Jonas. Henry Brent asked, "Are you still in touch with Jonas Hellborg? Great player, great guy. Met him in NYC a long time ago."
yeah, we talk a couple times a year. Lately, he hasn't been doing much playing out. He says he's in the middle of Sweden in a forest with his girlfriend and his cat, and he plays just for fun.
Wow, man.
He's already conquered the world, man. He's a Viking, so
Yeah.
he's already conquered the world.
Well, man, talk a little bit more about the importance of, when you found that moment of getting your time together and you noticed that you didn't, you just, your time was not there at all. And the introspection that you had to kind of go through, and I guess trying to take your ego out of that situation and break yourself down and go, man, I got to get this together because, now we're sort of in an age where a lot of cats, if they're depending on what kind of gig they're doing, but there's more and more gigs where guys are having to play to a click track.
Oh yeah.
And so the click is sort of, you don't have to the click is there for you. You're not really having to internalize and come up with that sort of natural heartbeat. And then they get thrown on a gig with no click and they're lost. And what would be your advice, man, to some of those guys that are kind of going through that and, talk a little bit about that.
Well, you come to trust yourself more when you have some success. So those times when you're practicing and it's there, learn, absorb that feeling, trust yourself that you can do it, and realize that playing with a click is daunting for everybody. If you're Steve Gadd, you're still challenged. Steve Jordan said it's a daunting task to play perfectly with a click track. So what you do is take a deep breath and you try your hardest. You're a human,
Right.
But the feeling you get from some of those little successes, you hang on to that, and because it's part of you now, and trust yourself, and trust your musicians that you're playing with, especially if you're playing with cats who are better than you, then you realize they need space to do their thing. I can't crowd them out. I have to. There's kind of when you're in the studio, the click is the law, and the drums are. It's the law, right? you can't challenge it. But on a live situation, somebody might be excited and they're leaning ahead. Maybe by the end of a 10-minute jam, you're 10 clicks faster than you started. That's all right. It's all right if everybody moves together and it's a musical situation. It's okay. And don't beat yourself up. I say to people, don't beat yourself up. Just get serious. Turn that click on and make it a friend. You make it a friend by putting it on a different beat in the grouping. So even if you're playing in like a triplet, you don't put it on 1, put it on 2, or put it on 3.
Woo!
And that's a hard one to hear. The middle of the triplet is the weakest beat.
Yeah, man.
And if you make it the most important beat, it's like a hiccup. There's no ground. There's no flow.
Right.
But if you can play a shuffle around it, you just play boom, put the click on the second note, and learn that feeling. And then it becomes second nature. And then it's like, okay, this is the feeling I need for that. Now put it on the third note. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, or put it in a quad, put it on the second, third, or fourth note, and go as deep as you want. Put it on groupings of 5, put it on the second, third, fourth, or the fifth note. And make it your friend.
Right.
Man, you mentioned Jeff Tain Watts because Kenny Kirkland is probably still my favorite piano player. So
Yeah.
I wore out any of the Branford quartet with those guys. I thought that was like his best group where Tain, Kenny Kirkland and Branford and those cats were together. Uh,
Robert Hurst.
Herbs, thanks. I always say the Garrison Hurst,
Mhm.
Robert. But anyways, right. So, but I used to marvel at the way Tane would divide up that dotted quarter note and make it sound like that was the swing beat, right? He'd be like,
Oh yeah,
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 he's like dang, dang, dang. He's like clang, clang, ka clang, clang, ka clang, right?
yeah.
But I really thought about it wasn't until I started really listening to Afro-Cuban music that
That's
you had
it.
to be aware of all the meters at the same time,
It goes back to Africa, man. The 12/8 variations of those bell patterns.
Right.
Yeah, that's the beginning of everything, and then it mutated as it went across the globe. You know, by the time it
Right.
got to Cuba, it was a little different.
Right. Right. Right.
Right.
So you talked about recording as well. Can you tell our listeners what's the difference between being a recording musician and a performing musician? Is there a difference in your mind?
It depends on what the performance is live. You know, there are situations you got to be pretend you're in the studio with the
Mm,
in-ear monitors and the playing to a percussion track or something.
right.
That's about that's like studio live.
Right.
But if you're not doing that, um, you know that what I found is that recordings magnify everything in your playing. So your dynamics will be more revealed, your accuracy will be more revealed, um, and your touch. In the studio, you can be, I think, much more dynamic. You don't have to hit as hard, and the dynamic range that you can explore in the studio works. It
Mm,
can work, but if you try to be too dynamic live, it doesn't work a lot of the
yeah.
time. You have to kind of compress it a little bit because those ghost notes are not going to be heard if you're
Right.
in an arena.
Right. Right.
Doubles, forget about it's all singles. You know.
Right. Right.
Yeah, it depends on the power you need live because you don't need that power in the studio. Although it does sound good when you're really hitting hard, but you don't always have to hit really hard in the studio. Yeah.
Wow. That's cool.
Mhm.
Chris, you were about to say something and I cut you off, man.
No, I mean, I just, well, one thing I wanted to bring up was we had Kebby Williams on
Love
um,
Kebby.
some months ago, and we've
He's
done,
from my.
yeah,
We're
he
from the same home planet.
exactly right,
Yeah.
exactly, and that's why I brought him up. So, you know, and he brought up something that was really interesting to us, where he talked a lot about rejection and being rejected for having whatever it was he wanted, however he was envisioning, his playing, his natural state when he goes into, X situation or Y situation, and they just don't know that they can't hear it. So I know, I have a feeling that you have some stories about some similar things, and I wanted you to just sort of maybe talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, appropriateness, right? Yeah. well, well, how do you take a genius like Kevin and put him in a situation where he's not allowed to do that? You know, it doesn't
Right.
make sense.
Right.
You know, yeah. I think everybody's got to kind of come to their own internal crossroads. Like, what do you want out of music? What is your relationship with music? Is it business? Is it professional? Is
Mm,
it experimental?
mm,
How much freedom do you allow yourself, or how much freedom do you cut yourself off from? Um, and every situation, every gig's got its own little, parameters. Every gig's a bubble. I've been lucky enough along the way that I've worked with mostly original music and writers, and um, I've worked with really creative people. So there's that chance for me to really express a lot more than I could on like a safe kind of a gig.
Hmm.
I,
that,
I wanted my relationship with music to be more about connecting with the mysterious and the divine, and the mystery has always drawn me in. Um, too much familiarity and safety is boring, and
mhm.
too much mystery is like it's hard to understand. So you have to, for me, a balance of mystery and playing in and playing out. Because
Right.
in really sounds a lot more in if you just did something slightly out. and the other way around too, right?
Right,
Like out,
exactly.
out doesn't make any sense unless it's compared to in. So if you
Right.
start out, you have nowhere to go but in, really. So
You're exactly right. I remember first time hearing, I think it was Rocket Love or one of those Stevie Wonder songs. And right before the key change, the strings did the key change first. And when I heard that, it was like this bit of like uneasiness, and then
yeah,
and I was like, whoa, what was I was like, what was that?
yeah,
I was like, I
Mm.
rewinded it, and I was like, what is I that feeling to that little uneasiness, and then just like being dropped out of a plane and the parachute catches you, that kind of thing.
yeah. That's thrilling. That's
Yes, it
absolutely
is. So,
thrilling. I love that when harmony preempts.
yeah.
Your
Oh wow,
your
that's a
line
great way to
might
say it.
preempt the next chord, and you
Right.
think, "Oh, that's out. Oh, that's in."
So I want to ask a question. You have a book out, and oh, good. Just show us a copy of it. So when did you write the book? And with all the stuff out there, I ask myself these questions all the time about why. Well, actually, I got it because a professor of mine at UNO, Harold Baptiste, a great saxophone player, used to arrange for Sonny and Cher, and he knew that I wrote songs, and he asked me. He said, "Jackson, what makes you think your songs are so special?" Now he wasn't dogging me out; he was just trying to provoke me to thought,
yeah.
and I'm like, I don't know. And so I had this defeated look on my face, like he was telling me not to write. He says, "No." It's like what I'm trying to tell you, you are you. So you have something to say yourself. So say it. Don't, but I just want you to know that what makes you think that you're so special that you can say something. And so with all the drums paraphernalia out there and books and stuff, why this?
Okay. Um, well, I've been writing and transcribing since I was 17. The first real successful attempt was when I was in high school, and John McLaughlin released his second Shakti album, A Handful of Beauty.
Mhm.
And I put it on, and there's this rhythmic dialogue between Zakir Hussain and Vinny Akaram, the clay pop player and the tabla player. We're doing just incredible. So it was too fast for me to understand, so I turned the the speed down to 16, the half speed,
Right.
and then I went and and I figured it out. I looked at it. It was like, okay, this is how you can do it. And then I just kept on doing stuff. And over the years, I'd have crates full of stuff. And then I got this app right before the pandemic. Um, I was gifted a iPad, and there was a $10 app called I Write Music, and it's great for drum. Uh, notation as well, because it gives you all the lines and all the symbols that you need
Right.
to assign it to, and it was very intuitive. It's not like finale or Sibelius where you have to really study this stuff before you can get anything done.
Right.
This you can get right into and get stuff done right away. And so I started doing that, and it looked so clean compared to my, handwritten stuff.
Right.
So, yeah, I just keep doing this, and I'll probably have enough for a book. And so I got all my favorite stuff out, and then I started conceptualizing about, okay, what is it about my relationship with music that might be worth talking about, and it might really strike a chord with somebody, or have the same thoughts as somebody else, and I've been lucky enough to have played with and received advice from some brilliant musicians along the way. So those little pearls and those little gems I remembered, and those are the things that helped me along my path. So this is really a study for me to get my stuff together and conceptualize, well, what can I do with this now? How many ways can I play this thing?
Wow.
And I just started writing out permutations for everything that came across my mind. And all of a sudden I have like hundreds of pages of stuff.
Right.
So edit it down to, what's practical, because I don't want it just to be theoretical. I want it to be like, oh, you can flip a page, point at a particular exercise, and make some music out of it.
Wow. I'm gonna definitely get a copy because
I'll send you one.
No, I'm buying it. I'm buying it. But when I buy it, I do want your signature on it. I gotta have the endorsement on it. But I'm buying it for real.
258.
Just put Sipe on there. I know it's all about. That's all I need to know. But I noticed a hole in my plane. I got called for this. It's actually a funny story too. Got called for this gig, play keyboard too at the Fox Theater for a Broadway show, Seven Brides for Seven Brothers, right? Yeah. So I remember watching that as a kid. So and they were looking for diversity too. So I fit the bill that way. So, and very rarely do those shows hire an in-town keyboard player, because the music director usually plays keys, or they bring their own piano player. But this one called for it, the second piano part, and there was it was intense because there were these dots in the music, and it was a Kurzweil keyboard, and everything was pre-programmed, the sounds. And all you do is hit a pedal and it advances the sound. So you'll be reading the line, it'll say fiddle, and then the next measure, it'll be bassoon, whatever, right? So we get to the frenetic part of right before intermission is supposed to be the avalanche scene, if you know anything about Seven Brides or Seven Brothers. Man, I'm just immersed in the thing. All through rehearsal, I never knew there was a gun on stage, because I'm looking at the thing, right? So right before the song ends, I hear boom really loud, right? I jump on the floor. I was like, they're shooting in the Fox Theater, right?
Oh,
I'm the only brother in the band. I look at Sam Skelton. And Sam Skelton is shaking his head while he's playing clarinet like this, right? Then I realize it's part of the whole show. We hit the last note right before intermission, and everybody dies laughing. I was like, man. But
they shooting in the
Fox. I was like, don't y'all see? Y'all gonna get killed, It was bad. But
somebody should have told you that. Man.
They should have told me. But the biggest thing is I remember is that those guys, I'm not a bad reader. I'm a good reader. But reading on that level, there was a hole in my playing, right? Especially when it came to rhythms. And I had such a good ear that if I heard it one time or two times, I'm like, okay, I know what it is. But I didn't want to just leave it there. I'm like, okay, what if somebody has an original song? I'm going to the studio and I'm looking at it for the first time. I want to be able to digest it, right? So, needless to say, that pointed a hole in some deficiency. So I called up a friend of mine, Justin Varnes, who's a drummer. I was like, dude, I need to take lessons. And he brought out a bunch of drum books and stuff like that. So needless to say, that's going to be very educational for me, because I love stuff like that. I ask Chris all the time about his concept of how he think about things. It's just being part of the rhythm section. You need to understand some rhythm,
Right. Yeah, because you're a drummer too.
Right. And I play like that, and other piano players may not play like that, and that's fine. But I'm an interactionist.
Yeah.
And I want to interact with the fullness of the group. I'm happier that way. Some people are happy conducting the whole thing, like, hey, y'all follow me. I'm not happiest in that situation,
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Well, that's interesting because when you talk about concept, Jeff, I feel like you have a concept.
Oh,
That's what all I feel like that's what we all are on the path to try to find. What is our thing? What is our concept?
I feel like Jeff has always been authentically Jeff whenever I heard him.
So man, what in I know that there's what's your sort of advice for finding your own concept and being able to stick to it?
Right. I think fundamentally we're all supposed to be ourselves. We're different flowers, and we're supposed to be different flowers. We're part of the same plant, but every blossom, every human is a different blossom, and it looks different. It's supposed to look different.
Right.
Everybody has their own. It's supposed to be. Everybody has their own self that should manifest. But society kind of squashes us down. No, you gotta be like this. You gotta be like that. You can't do that.
Right.
That's not valid or something.
Right.
But if you can get that out of your mind and think that everything is valid, that everybody has a genuine, original style. If you can find what really excites you and find what you really love, that's the stuff that builds you as an original person. So dive deep into that which you love, and you'll grow to resemble it. So if you're thinking, oh man, I'm thinking about this musical phrase, I don't know how to connect it, but I hear it. I know it's possible. I just got to go find it, And for me, I would always hear things that were just a little bit out and turn my ear, be like, what's that? That's different. Whether it's a texture or a tone or an inflection or an embellishment, or if it's like you talked about before, like playing a line before the chord comes.
Mm-hmm.
The line is in the next chord, but the chord isn't there yet.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, that stuff thrills me. So I gravitate towards something, things that are just a little bit different, a little bit crunchy, a little bit. I like inside voices. Voicings. Tight voicings. I like. Dissonance is kind of resolution for me.
Wow.
But going back to it, I think everybody should realize they're supposed to be original, and it's okay to be original. And yeah, you can fit in with this, and you can fit in with that, you can fit in with this. But when you're by yourself and you're making your music by yourself, just for you and just for God, it's okay to be you, and it doesn't have to sound like anything else.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to make a living, there's always that too, right?
Well, what would you
for everything, right?
What would you say to, because a lot of the younger guys, I mean older guys too, man, you're dealing with social media now, and the peer pressure that comes along with, if you have a Facebook, you have an Instagram, you have a TikTok, whatever, and you're seeing just waves of, you can pick your instrument, not just drums, it'd be keyboards or guitar or whatever, of you're seeing a wave of this stuff that's not always real, right? But it's still, to the general public, they're gonna attach themselves to, we talked about, we've equated it to just as like instead of people, a lot of people would rather have, instead of having a really good, organic home cooked meal, they want to go to McDonald's because it's fast, it's easy, they don't have to think about it. Boom, 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 you get your order, boom, and you eat. So social media is kind of the same thing. So, what's your opinion about social media and what's going on with the how music and musicians are being presented on social media, and what's your take on all that stuff?
Man, I remember when Facebook, I guess it was MySpace that came out first, right?
Right.
Right.
And that was a platform everybody was reconnecting over, finding old relationships and revitalizing them and stuff like that. And then Facebook came along, and I realized I am my own promoter. So I don't have an agent. I don't have a management. So it's up to me to try to get the word out, people to come to the gigs. So I started an artist page, and it was fantastic. I mean, word got out, and I'd post something, and there'd be like 300 people would answer. Be like, wow, okay, this is working, But over the past few years, it seems like it's changed. Maybe a lot of the audience is leaving Facebook for Instagram and TikTok, and now it's just the older cats that are doing Facebook. But I try to keep up with it, but it's, I'm too busy practicing, and I'll get to that. I promote my own shows, and if it seems like it's self promotion, it is. It has to be.
Right.
Yeah. So I try not to be too. I keep it simple, It's like, hey, I'm playing this gig. Come on out. It'll be a good time.
Right.
But I don't have.
Speaking
of
shows, you have one, right? You have a show coming up Thursday.
Yeah, that's right. From the Earth Brewery with my trio with Mike Seal and Taylor Lee.
Cool. And it starts at what, 8 o'clock? What time does it start?
I think that's a 9 o'clock show.
9 o'clock. Oh, beautiful. Even better. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
Yeah. So do because a lot of people will post they'll post videos. You'll see these 1 minute of such and such, or do you have any opinion on that, or is that just like you don't even?
I think it's what it is. Like my bass player Taylor Lee, he'll post just a 30-second something of what he's practicing, and it's like, wow, that's amazing. I would never have known that if I didn't see it. I think it's pretty cool. The stuff that I'm interested in is really more the musical, the technical kind of stuff. I'm not the social media. I'm happy with a couple of real friends, like real friends that call me and I call them. But right. I don't have the desire to communicate with the whole world. There was a time when I was putting out my opinions, and boy, do you hear back from that? Oh yeah, you can stir the soup. Real easy to stir the soup.
No question, man.
But meta is changing, and who knows what's going to be next? It might be holograms.
Oh wow, right.
Mm-hmm. Well, talk a little bit about your trio, man. With Mike Seal and and Taylor. The only thing I know about Mike Seal is he can't play no chess. So them fight. Yeah, tell him I said that because I used to see him we used to play, man, online. I kind of just I go through phases with chess. So, but we used to have some.
You must be pretty good.
Once upon a time, Jeff. But it's just, you gotta stay up on that, man. It's basically the same thing as playing an instrument, man. So, but he was getting into it as I was playing a lot, and I think he got one game out of all the games that we played, but I can't remember. I think he got one game from it, but tell him I said I'll see him on Thursday, so I'll remind him.
I'll tell him. Yeah, he's a brilliant mind. So
yeah, man,
there's a lot about you.
Yeah. But talk a little bit about your band and
okay, yeah, we've been together 18 years. Taylor's the third bass player. Yeah. Neil Fountain played with us for a while.
Neil Fountain?
Yeah. Neil Fountain. Yeah. Sure enough did.
He said, cut your hair.
I tell him to grow some. Oh, man. Yeah, Neil's wonderful. So this trio, we've been together about 18 years, and self-promoting, being a self-employed jazz drummer with no vocals trying to get a trio off the ground. It's like 3 strikes against you right away. So it's been difficult. It's been really difficult, but occasionally we get a good gig. And anymore, I'm not dragging them through the mud like I used to. They're older now, starting families, and they're in relationships. So I can't treat them the way I did when they were teenagers.
You used to beat them up good? You used to beat them up, man?
We'd go out, we'd play 5-hour gigs and exhaust them and sleep on a floor. Sleep on somebody's floor, next to their turtle. Turtles and oh gosh, cat vomit on the pillows. Man, we couldn't afford to get a hotel, so we had to hit up friends and people put us on their couch.
Right.
And we did that for quite a while. And then so anymore now we just do what makes sense. We get a good offer, and then we put a little route around it, and we're happy with 3 or 4 dates in a row.
Right.
But I think I'm going to be signing to a booking agent real soon, which will be a blessing. They'll finally get some help getting into festivals.
Right.
I met Mike when he was 19 going on 20, and I had been invited by Chad Melton to go to Knoxville and play in a group called Primordial Soup. And the group was a live performance of a soundtrack of a movie. So they would play a movie and turn the sound off of it, and then the whole band would improvise the soundtrack.
Wow.
And it was a lot of fun. So I was saying hi to everybody, meeting everybody. Hi, Mike Seal, nice to meet you. And then he started tuning his guitar and just touching the guitar and tuning it up. He hadn't even played a song yet. I just turned my head and was like, who is that? I mean,
wow.
He turned my head just tuning the guitar. And then he started playing some stuff, and I was like, wow, where'd you come from? I hit him up right away. I said, man, you want to do some dates? And he said, sure. Same thing with Taylor Lee. I met him when he was 19, maybe even earlier. He was studying with OT, and he was already great, but now he's like Superman. It's like Matt Garrison on bass now.
Mm-hmm.
Incredible. Yeah, those guys, they are really highly intuitive. If I go somewhere, they're not afraid. They're not afraid to lead or to follow. And they always bring it, always bring 100%. And there's always blood on the floor after the gig, Like, we have a joke, like everybody can sweat on a gig, but we want blood on the floor after a gig.
Wow.
Go ahead and go for stuff, and if you don't make it, you tried.
Right.
Go for it. Yeah. It's not a safe gig.
Not a safe space. No safe space, right?
No. We got the flamethrowers out. And I think it's our job to invite the right spirits in and invite the wrong spirits out.
Nice.
Yeah, I went to see Sun Ra once, and there was a table full of yuppies. They had no idea what they were listening to, and they were just out on the town, and Sun Ra is playing, and they're yapping away. So John Gilmore and Marshall Allen were sent by Sun Ra to the table with their saxophones, and they just started giving them everything they had, and eyes were popping open. It was like they ran out of the room. So they cleared the room of the people that didn't belong there.
Wow.
Also, I saw Bradford once at Yoshi's in California, and right after the first song, he talked to the table right nearest to him, and they were the same kind of just yuppies out on the town,
right,
talking over the band, talking over the music, and he was just like this, like, so this is jazz. This is jazz music. This is what it's about. He's just kind of almost lecturing them politely.
Right.
Like, here you are. Be here now. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Man, I studied with his father, with Ellis Marcellus, and the whole family is just maybe outside. Well, no, Jason too, but Jason is not as loud as boisterous as all rest of them. But all of them are like philosophical about everything and will argue. And I remember Ellis was played on Wynton's record, Romance or something like that, New Volume or whatever. I can't remember record, but it's a duo. And Ellis told me that him and Wynton argued 1 hour over a chord that Wynton put in there, right?
Mhm.
And so finally Wynton said, Dad, this is my album. I want this chord in it. And Ellis said, well, I'll play it, but I won't like it. So that's how Branford, everybody thinks that Branford is a cool guy. Branford can be volatile in a second, bro. You know? But he's like you say, he could politely disturb you, you know?
Yes, those are men of strong convictions,
Right.
and really thought through,
Yeah.
all of their convictions, and they stand firm where they land.
Right. And he was like I think he's in Hickory, North Carolina right now, something, one of those areas. But
Yeah,
there
shot.
was oh
Yeah.
yeah. So there was a jam session that he was going to, and he just told the club owners one thing: do not mention that I'm there. It was like on a Tuesday night. Just don't. He's like, this is for the musicians. Don't, don't do that. If it spreads by word of mouth through the musicians, that's fine. But don't put my name up on a moniker and stuff like that. So, it was great. The community started coming out just to be around him. And somebody at the club decided, man, we need to capitalize off of this. And the minute they put his picture up, he was getting ready to walk in and saw tonight Branford Marcel is coming. He left out of there, told the cats, I told y'all not to do this because now you guys are trying to make money and commercialize it. And the audience that I wanted was musicians to come in holistically, coming to learn. And
right.
I had to take my hat off to him for that, man. So,
Yeah. He's as real as you get. I've met him a
Right.
couple of times, and we got a chance to play together. He sat in with ARU in Raleigh before the pandemic, and he's a fan of the ARU and Sotil and Kofi, of course.
Right.
Oh man, that was fun. He's like your next door neighbor, man.
Yeah.
There's no pretense at
No.
all. None.
Tell me about your 4 Grammys.
Now these are groups that I was involved with. They're not Jeff Sipe nominated.
Hey, yes, you're on it.
Yeah. Well, Aquarium Rescue Unit for the live album was up for one. Leftover Salmon, a bluegrass band I played with, was up for one. Susan Tedeschi, I played with her for 4 years.
Nice.
She was up for 2. What else is there? There might be more than that, but those are the 4.
How do you form these relationships, Jeff? Like, and there's so many diverse groups you just mentioned right there. How do you form these relationships, and what do you attribute that to your success with these people?
I think any success that I've enjoyed along the way has come about from an excitement about the music and just really just wanting to be there, like we're all together, just being honest with each other. Laughing, having a good time, playing music,
right?
And that has to be the first thing,
right?
And then word gets out, like, oh yeah, he can play a shuffle, or yeah, he can play a train beat,
right?
He can play some bluegrass. When I started getting thrown in with some bluegrass cats, I thought it was the weirdest thing in the world, because my love is, I go back to John McLaughlin and Fusion and all this, Lenny White. All the cats. And now I'm playing some train beats, but I realized I thought I could train beat, 2-beat, whatever. I never gave it a second thought until I had to play it. And then it was like, oh man, this is like laser focus.
Right.
So you have to be so consistent, and you can't give it up.
Right.
You have to keep the train on the tracks the whole time.
Right.
You can't stop. You can't be fancy. You can't put a little inflection here. You just got to keep it bouncing.
Keep it driving.
Right. Yeah. And so then I realized, okay, in a bluegrass world, the mandolin is the snare. He's keeping that backbeat. and the banjo is kind of like the ride cymbal, and
wow.
and because it has modern banjo players play 3-finger style, so they're playing in a 4/4 timing, but they're playing 3 notes, and it's over the bar line field.
Oh.
It's just
Oh.
naturally there. So I'm thinking, so the banjo is the ride cymbal, the mandolin is the snare drum, the bass is the bass, and if I can lock in with those cats like that, like the banjo's got my right hand, mandolin, and my snare drum are one,
Oh wow.
then it fits nicely, and I can still play bebop. They don't know it, but
That is
because I
so
got a
good.
hat.
Oh wow. Man, your passion and excitement, man, is just it's contagious. I want to go practice right
Unbelievable,
now.
man. I know, man. Unbelievable, man.
Yeah,
Unbelievable.
but I mean, if you show up with a smile and you play the best you can play, that goes a long way.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
No judgment.
Well, listen, man. It's been a pleasure, man. We're gonna let you go. We've been on here for a good 90 minutes, and we
All
could
right.
probably, I want to do another with you, man,
I
where
would
we're
love to.
just
Yeah.
really nerding out, talking drums.
Yeah, let's get more into that counting system, man.
Yeah, we'll do all of that, man. We'll do all
It's
of
so
that.
magic.
So
It opened up a whole new room for me. It's like this door just what? Yeah,
Wow.
we'll do it.
yeah.
We'll get
There's
together.
stuff in here. What's in here? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yep.
Hey,
Yep.
look at Russ Rogers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were
All
mentioned,
right.
Russ.
Hey, Russ.
So yeah, man. So your show is at From the Earth
Yeah,
Brewing,
that's right.
right? Is that it? On Thursday. I think you said showtime is 9.
Double check that with the club. It could be 8. I might be off
Okay.
on that.
Okay. Okay. But I'm gonna be there, man, hanging out.
Great.
And
Okay. Great.
Yeah, bring a book for me some
Okay.
Thursday. I'll come in. How much is the book? So we
yeah, I
can
want
know.
one too.
They're going for 45 on my website.
Got it. Okay, cool.
Website, music.com. Jeff's
Okay.
Great. Great.
Okay.
I'll bring some goodies for y'all. And thank you, gentlemen. It's been a really pleasure.
Brother,
Been a
thank you.
pleasure.
Sipe.
Thank you.
Man. Yeah. And then you're still in the area over the weekend, though. You're at Hendershots, right? On
On
Sunday.
Sunday.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
100 shots on Sunday. And I haven't played Athens in, it seems like 10 years. So we're really looking forward to that one.
Cool, man. Well, yeah, we'll let us know when you're in the area, man. We'll try to get some get a little thing when you guys come in town, man, and
Okay.
try to bring y'all on, come to the shows, try to get people out for you, help you out, man. We know how it is. So
Yeah.
so
Okay.
any little thing that we can do to to help you, man, just let us know.
Thank you
Sure.
so much. All right.
Sipe.
All right, Jeff. Well, take it easy,
Good
man,
night.
and we will see you Thursday night, my brother.
All right, Chris, Tyrone, thanks so much.
All right, Sipe.
Peace out,
Take
bro.
it easy, brother.
Thanks, man. All right.
Man.
Man, that brother, man.
Can't get
You
better.
make me want to. No, make me want to. I'm about to go practice now.
You're about to run through a wall, bruh. I'm about to I came in just kind of static, but now, dude, I'm got steroids. I'm juicing, bro.
It's the man, he made a decision early that he was going to follow a certain path.
But he's always been that way. It's not like now that I'm getting older, I'm like, let me find out who I am, and let everything.
right.
And that's what when he talked about Colonel Bruce's stare, I always felt like Bruce was going to discover who I was if I looked at him long enough.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would avert my eyes like I couldn't look at him. Not that I was this crazy person, whatever, but I'm starting to learn who I am authentically and not have to compare myself to other cats who play, especially piano, where you have so much responsibility to so many things, and you lay it out on the line. but there's room for all of us to be who we are, you know?
Right. And that's you know, the hardest thing is to just be yourself,
Right, right,
because, there's always sort of the flavor of the month going on, no matter what level you're at. There's
right.
always a flavor of the month, and somebody's going to hire this person, and then somebody gets hired because they sound like this person, and yada yada yada. So it's hard to not fall into that and to fall trapped to that, because
Yeah.
you want to be, I mean, the thing that you want most is validation. You want to feel like you're important and you're needed for whatever band or singer or project or whatever.
I mean, we are
And
social creatures. We are social. That's why
Mhm.
solitary confinement is such a horrible, horrible sentence,
Mhm.
because you want to be around people. So
Right.
acceptance is part of that. Nobody wants to really be the outlier and the one despised. Some people love that role too. Some people don't love to be loved. Some people like
Mhm.
despised character, or some people love to be depressed, you know.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so all those things that you're talking about is like, as we're going through being a musician, it takes courage, first of all, to be a musician. It takes courage. And it takes
Right.
courage to be yourself and say, okay, this person doesn't get me, don't get my music and stuff like that. But then Jeff also said, hey, you want to make a living too? You got to
Right.
negotiate that as well.
And that's
Right.
that's where it gets tricky.
Right, right, right. But
You
I
know.
mean, if you're smart enough to, I think musicians are very, very smart. All the stuff that we have to do, so you'll figure that aspect out.
Right.
But hey, you got a smile on your face. You show up on time. You have the right gear. You're professional. You respect the
Right.
music that the person is doing. You know.
Right. Well, I mean, ultimately, you want to be called for you. You don't want to be
Right,
called for because you sound like such and such, or you sound like so and so,
right,
which does happen, but you want to be called for what you do. He's sort
right.
of the epitome for that of that is people are calling Jeff because they want Jeff. That's all. That's the only place we want to get. What's so funny?
I'm laughing because at the jam at the jam session, I can see your face when things
Man, stop, man, stop.
when you are not in the creative zone that you want to be in, and you just look, bro. It's a distinct look on your face. I remember telling Joel, after you get the money tonight, he'll be all right.
Well, here's the thing, man.
Uh,
That I just, I wonder sometimes you have to do some sort of self-analysis,
right,
of where you are and what you're doing. And I think it's even more amazing to people that don't do that versus people that, I mean, you know how hard it is to do that, right?
right, right,
Like
right,
that's a difficult thing to do. So, but the people that just live in in a if as Mike Tyson would say Bolivia, he meant
Olivia.
oblivion. He meant oblivion
Right,
is what he
right.
meant. I guess I'll fade to Bolivia, but
Boom, boom, boom,
he
boom,
was
boom,
saying I
boom,
fade to
boom, boom, boom,
oblivion.
boom, boom, boom.
You know, you know, it's like man, you got to have some self scouting going
Right,
on.
right, right, right.
But I can't, man, I'm working on that because I know it is what it is. And it's like you can't hold everybody else up to the same standard that you hold yourself. That's
Yeah,
unrealistic,
yeah,
So, and I'm working on that, man. But it's just, it's like, it's disappointing because I feel like there are some people that actually do have talent. It's like they have talent, but they're not really interested in cultivating that. What they're interested in is everybody telling them how great they are.
but are you?
That's the problem that I have.
If they're comfortable in that, are
So
you
be it, I guess.
are you just like, are you hating on that? Are you looking like you got all this talent, you can be all that you can be, like they say with the army or whatever, and you're like, you don't even know what you possibly have? Is it that for
Yeah.
you?
Well, it's like the NBA or the NFL. It's like, how many guys do we see who are very, very, very talented but don't make it?
Right. Or they
And the
get it
reason
when they
that
get older and the physical ability fades, and they're like, if I would have studied the playbook, I would have been this.
right. I mean,
Yeah.
but the percentage of cats who make it are
Oh,
not the ones who are the most talented people.
no.
It's the you know, uh, it's the guy, they have something else,
Right.
and I think that we all have deficiencies, in our abilities, but you have to be able
Right.
to, you know, zero in on those deficiencies, and you have to make those strengths. That's
Right.
the key. And
Right.
that's hard, and that's the challenge, because as you're working through whatever deficiencies you have, man, it is a lonely existence. It is lonely. And there ain't nobody giving you props for
No.
that. So,
Well, Jeff
you know,
said he was working with that metronome with the light flashing in the dark for
in the
5
dark,
hours.
dude, in the dark.
Right.
It's, I mean, but that's a commitment, right?
Well, that's what
That's
you
that's
embrace. Most
that's
people want to
why,
embrace the playing
right,
on stage.
right,
That
right.
part takes care of itself. But the
Man,
part that people don't see is when you're in the shed, when my wife is sleeping. I mean, shout out to my wife.
right,
It's cool that she can sleep. But
right,
for me, when she wakes up, she had no idea what I was going through that night shedding on the piano.
right.
But when she sees me on
It's
stage, she's like, "Oh,
right,
you're fantastic." And I'm like, "I wasn't fantastic last night when I was getting beat up by this piano."
right. And
You
that's
know?
embracing what? Embracing the journey, not
Yeah.
embracing the goal,
Yeah,
you
we talked
know?
about that, right? Process
Hmm.
oriented versus goal oriented. And you're definitely
And
process oriented.
that's you know, talking to Jeff, and also, I've had, some conversations with him, not a lot, but some conversations over the years of, I'll ask him certain questions about certain things, or um but him sort of breaking that down today was different, because he never talked about, I got this gig, or I got this gig, or I made this, or I did. His whole thing was about, like, the path.
Right.
That man,
And
you know,
the people more than the
and
gig.
the relation, right,
Yeah, it's like
right.
I
And
played with this person and I did this. Play with this person. They like to do this, and this is what
right,
we did when we were here. And I'm like, okay,
right,
that's all
right.
relational, you know?
And it was all we. It was never
Yes,
me.
yes,
It was all we. It was, that's where I think the disconnect is for, myself, Neil Fountain,
yeah,
John Chalden, but like Boone's in a little bit younger generation than us, but he's been raised by older guys.
right,
So he's in a band, he's in bands. A
right,
lot of these, it's like, it's not really about the band so much anymore. It's all this individual attention that you have to kind of fight. And, you know, all I know is being in a band. I have to have a band. If I do Chris Burroughs Collective, it's about collective. It's not, yeah, my name is on the thing, but it's
right.
about, I need the band. I want a band to produce a certain sound. If you have, you know, FTMO, Tyrone Jack, I mean, you're thinking about the band. You're
I
not
am.
thinking about yourself as a solo artist.
Although I
It's
want my rug that came with the Chris Burroughs Collective.
no, you can't get that, man. You got it. No,
That
you
was a
got to
nice
wait.
little touch, bro. I like
You got
that.
to get that. Got to wait on that. Got to wait on that, man.
Hey,
You know.
man,
You got to do a certain number of gigs before you get the rug, dude.
before I get the rug.
So I know you're serious. Otherwise,
Okay, all right,
I
got
just know
you.
you want the rug. Now.
Man, after talking to y'all cats, listening to you and Sipe interact with the energy and stuff, man, I haven't worked on my a new album. Like I do an album every 3.5, 4 years. And for
Right.
this, working on this
Right.
doctorate degree,
Right.
it's been rough because they say they want a unique voice. They want this to, hey, share your lived experiences, do this, tell us about, write in your own voice. And it's not true. It's a lie. So when I write in my
Mm.
own voice and write from my area of expertise and my knowledge, whatever, they don't really want to hear that. You have to just play the game until you get out of it. And to a certain degree in higher learning, in which I'm a part of with education, we say, hey, we looking for the next person. Be yourself, be unique, and yet we're teaching Shankarian analysis and say, oh, the one goes here and the five pulls here, and and
Mm.
we end up producing people who are going just strictly by the rules of
Right.
yesteryear.
Right.
And those cats, any innovation in classical music was done by somebody doing something differently. A Neapolitan chord or a German six or augmented six, all these different innovations that we look at and we um, memorialize where it's stagnant, it doesn't move anymore. And so
Mm.
sometimes the academy and other systems are guilty of making us stay within a box, but we speak with a forked tongue. We say, oh, we want you to be unique and be this, whatever, and have your own voice. Yet when somebody has their own voice, we're like, no, that's not right.
Right. Right.
So that's
Right.
that's to get away from that. But I've never felt Jeff has been that. And I feel that. So I'll go back to this. So man, I never thought about it until this moment that on my next album, I'm gonna have you and Sipe together in a configuration with this.
Mm.
Well, I'm hoping. I'm saying I'm gonna have it.
Mhm.
I don't know if
Mhm.
Jeff is gonna charge me like $3 billion. You know what I'm saying? But he could.
Hey, man, brother got to eat, bruh.
Right. But I just when I heard you guys interacting, because like me and you play all the time, and
Mhm.
I think Jeff could fit right in there. I'm going to have the concept. I'm going to sleep on it, and it's going to hit me in the morning what it
Mhm.
could be. And I
Mhm.
know I got to do some writing, but I
Well,
know that when I wake up, that something's going to hit me that it could work with. Even with that little tablet thing that he was doing, that 11 thing was intriguing to me with the pause in the middle of it. But anyway,
mhm.
yeah,
Mhm. Mhm. That would be beautiful, man. I mean,
yeah.
and you and I have talked about a little bit about this. It's like, I mean, man, look, we still have to we have families, you have to maintain a living, you have to make a living. You can't, not you can't get around that, right? And you don't want to get around that. It's not like
I
you
mean,
want to go back to,
You're responsible
yeah,
enough to take care of that, right?
but right. But it's like, at some point, um, I keep using the phrase, I just want to go down swinging, man. And if it's like, dude, at this point, all I'm interested in is making art. I mean, at least from in terms of the things that I produce, right?
Right.
It's the chasing, the trying to get in with this. I'm hoping to get. It's like those days are over anyway, man. There is no music business anymore. It's every man for himself, basically, is what
Well,
it is. And unless you
everything
are,
everything is
bro.
sales, bro. Everything is sales. And what I mean by that is a salesman. Let's take for example a door-to-door vacuum cleaner salesman. When
Right.
he knocks on that door, does he say, "Hey, do you have a vacuum cleaner?" And if the person says, "Yeah, I already have one," he say, "Okay, bye, I'm gone." No, that salesman's
Right.
like, "This is why you need this vacuum cleaner." You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Your vacuum cleaner is this, but I got one that does your vacuum cleaner hold up a bowling ball? These
Right.
different things.
Whatever.
So
Mhm.
there's an art to somebody promoting you or you promoting yourself to say, "This is why you need me in your life. This is why you need this music." And it could be
Right.
as simple as, have you ever heard music with this kind of passion before? All right, I'm not being directed by a producer who's being specific for a genre. And that's the thing I loved about Aquarium Rescue Unit.
Yes.
These
Yes.
genres are put in place to delineate, to really sell records, basically.
Well, I just watched
The blues
an
wasn't called the
interview.
blues when it was created.
Right. I just watched a really cool Michael McDonald interview, and he was, there's this whole thing about when he joined the Doobie Brothers, of how he quote unquote changed the Doobie Brothers and brought all this like soul element to Doobie Brothers already had soul. It wasn't that they were, he said, he was like, man, I don't really ever understand when people say that, because he said when the Doobie Brothers were always one of the most diverse bands
Right.
out there. They would have, they'd have a rock thing on there. They could have a country thing. They could have a funk thing. And it was
Right.
like, and he said, man, basically anybody in the 70s, all those bands, that was the MO. It was like you wanted to flex your versatility. All the songs would be different. Even if you go to groups like he just mentioned the Doobie Brothers, but I was thinking about like the Ohio Players or the Commodores or Kool and the Gang. It's like there was such a all of those bands had different styles on their records, whether Led Zeppelin, Stevie, everybody, it was like, it wasn't this cookie cutter, this is what you do, until really the 80s and 90s is when the record companies started to put everybody in a box because they could make more money that way, right? And say, oh, this is what you do. You are a rock band. Okay, you are an R&B. And then they forced all of those artists to try to produce one style one type of music that would fit that particular genre, man. And it was like, wow, that's so true. That's exactly what happened.
We're creatures of form and formulas, bro, if you're not careful. I mean, the construction people have to be regulated on doing stairs. All stairs have to be the exact same height. You know why? Because you could kill yourself. If one stair is a different height than the other, your brain is like, I don't want to think about the distance between these things. So your brain automatically makes adjustments.
Right. You don't have to think about it.
That's what it is.
Exactly.
And so if I change perfect example, Marlon's studio, when it used to be at his house, that last stair was higher than the rest of it. It has that little concrete slab at the end of it. I don't know if you remember it, but me and Patrick Arthur was helping bring my roads up there, and that top step, he missed it and dropped it. Boom! I had a little crease in there. It didn't break it, but that instrument is heavy. But I had to pay attention to. We had to pay attention to that last step. So
pay attention, right?
People,
which is
formula and product. It's not based on you moving your head and bopping and being curious about it. It's like, I want you to be anesthetized.
Wow, that's deep, but that's true.
Yeah,
and there was only a few people that were still sort of, basically giving the middle finger to the record companies that could afford to do that, because they were selling enough records, they were selling out their tours. You can count them basically on kind of one hand,
and their persona was bigger than that the persona of I don't give a damn kind of thing. I don't give a care. It's like, whoa, that's more marketable than anything,
right. So bring back another comment with Neil, and we all agree with this, is that's what's great about Leah Calvert,
Right.
It's just I always say, if she just hit 20 years earlier, it'd have been a thing, man. But you gotta, it's that whole narrative of we don't want you to think. We don't want people to have to think.
Oh, it gets in the way of productivity. You get in the way of my
exactly. It gets in the way of productivity, man.
Right.
We want them to just have a great be able to at their job, and we're gonna build this category called smooth jazz, where it just plays and they can have just a joyous sound behind them.
Oh, dude, how many times have you heard this? If you want to make it in a smooth jazz, you got to play the smooth jazz licks.
Yes, we talked about this.
I'm like,
you broke it down to me before I was like, wow. Because you listen to, it's so funny, because I watched another thing today on George Benson, right? So Benson's breaking down, the Breezin' record, like that whole period where he
That
kind of
was a great
hit.
produce, yeah.
And it's such a great record, man, because yes, it's catchy, and yes, it has like sort of pop, I guess when you talk about like form is
Right.
concerned, and it's something that, people can just listen to have good, but the musicianship, it's Harvey Mason,
Yeah.
Phil Upchurch, uh oh God, who was on keys? Ronnie Foster is
Mhm.
on key, and it's like these monsters, and the music is killing, man. But it's
Yeah.
still, yeah, okay. It has a little bit of a commercial thing to it, but that whole genre, man, just kind of got, I would say, when would you? I don't know, because like I think about like late '80s, maybe late '80s. I started hearing there was a station. It was called Jazz Flavors. Do you remember
Oh, yeah.
Jazz
Jazz flavors, yeah.
Jazz Flavors, dude? And it was like there was no jazz to be found, really,
But
but it
maybe that was
was.
accurate because Tang was orange drink, orange
It was good
flavor,
though. You could
orange
drink.
flavoring,
You could eat the powder of Tang, man.
but
No
it was
water,
not one piece of orange juice in there, it was orange
nothing, no
flavor.
orange juice at all.
So maybe they were accurate, jazz maybe it was jazz flavors.
And that's basically what it was
Right,
Tang, right? And
right,
Tang was good, man. I used to
right.
tear some Tang up, man.
Sweet. No nutritional value, though.
Man, orange juice got pulp and stuff in it. That'd be, ugh. Tang was just total 100% sweet sunshine, bro.
Right.
And that's what
Yeah.
that's what
What's the other one?
that's what
Sunny Dew? Sunny Dew, bruh.
Sunny. Oh man, I couldn't get with the Sunny D though, man.
Sunny
That was
D,
like,
bruh. It's Sunny D, bruh. You drink it, and I heard a
uh,
comedian say, it's
mm,
good until one day you say, this
oh,
is horrible. It's like,
man. But that's what Jazz Flavors was, right?
right,
Because they would play things that were more, you had, I mean, but it was still artists that we respected. It
right,
was Al Jarreau,
right,
Sade,
right,
Pat Metheny, his
right,
the Still Life Talking record.
right,
There was a lot of stuff that was still like credible, right?
right. Grover Washington, he did stuff.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep. Basha.
yeah,
Uh, it was like a lot of stuff that was still cool,
right,
but it was almost like they were preparing us for what was about to take place with that genre of music,
right,
because it all of a sudden when I guess it was, and no, man, no disrespect to, I actually, if you, because I know how it's still, Kenny G is a polarizing figure, right? But if you really want to get a really great look at Kenny G, there's that documentary. I think it was on HBO, wasn't it?
yeah,
Was it
yeah,
HBO or Max?
yeah.
Everybody needs to see that, man,
When he was with
because
Jeff Lorber, he was killing,
yeah, he was in the
Yeah,
band. Was it GQ?
yeah.
But he never said his music was jazz.
No,
He's
no,
like, but anyway, let's not
right.
go there. But dude, that was like, to me, that was it. That
The
was
start.
the end, because then all you had was clones,
Yeah.
and that's was the beginning of the
Formulas,
end.
man. They can sell that, bruh. They can
Yep,
sell formulas.
they can sell formulas, man.
Yep.
That's it,
Everybody looking
man.
for the magic elixir, bruh.
Yep. What's up,
Rest in peace.
Feinberg? What's going on, man? Don't forget the GRP.
Hey, you got to go to an earlier Feinberg comment, bruh.
What'd he say?
You got to go back up. I'll show
Oh,
it.
I see it. Oh, I see it. I see it. What you know about that, man?
Don't
What you
get
know
me
about
started.
that? You
Don't
too
get me
young to know
started.
about that. But all these young cats, they not old anymore, bro.
Boy, that's
I heard somebody, hey, I
that's a
heard somebody,
poignant statement, bruh.
I
All
heard, I
these
heard
young
some,
folks are not old
they not
anymore.
old, they not young anymore, man. They not young. I
Oh,
heard somebody called Terrence Harper great young musician the other day. I was like, young musician?
Oh no,
He ain't the young boy no more.
No,
he is not the young boy no more.
No, he's probably got some Beijing black in his hair somewhere. You know what I'm saying?
He's over there enough. Shoot. That can't be in China, man.
Right, he ain't the young
over
cat
there
anymore. Remember that?
man.
Remember when we were that category, bro?
Yes.
It's like right on the crust, still young cats on the scene.
Yes.
Till I had a gig Friday and Saturday, and the young guy on the gig was at a place that I hadn't been in a long time. That was really cool.
Yeah. And you need to tell. We'll talk about that. We'll save that one. That's a good lesson to because that's happened to It's happened to me. It's happened to me.
Yeah, to see it from this angle though is a different one. You know,
now you're on the other side of that. You're seeing the young guy come in unprepared, man.
Right.
But that's the only way you're gonna really learn.
You don't know until you know.
You don't know until you know. And just as you told him, you don't know until you play with older people.
Yes.
You don't know until you play with guys who are better, more experienced than you.
Right.
That's the only time you're going to get it, man. You know,
right.
You guys just patting each other on the back and, you know, that you're not going to get it that way. So,
well, hopefully we can solve that problem with BKU and, you know, the stuff that we're going to be doing with that. I heard you mention a little bit of it. Wow.
Yes, absolutely.
Frozen.
Yeah.
So
we've had a couple of locations that have been thrown at us that were great ideas. And, but we're still looking for a place to hold our session and probably do it once a month. And we would prefer a place that was non-food and beverage. So, because we don't want to be responsible for nobody bringing how many people he ate, how much food did you say? I ain't got no time for that no more.
Right.
You know, that ain't my problem. I'm the musician. They coming to hear music. You know what I'm saying? So,
right.
But we're gonna find it, man. We have a couple of possibilities that we're gonna look into and see. But we're open to, you know, if people have suggestions or places that they think our session will fit, please come forward and let us know.
Beautiful.
Drop us a comment. And you can send us an email, hit us up Messenger, Instagram, send us a DM, and we will. Actually, we do have. Do we have Local Musicians XP at Gmail? I think we do.
We do. I believe we do.
So we'll put that out there. But yeah. Thank you for joining us tonight. We had a great special guest chop it up with one of the masters, and he was more than gracious with his time and gave us, you know, it's almost like getting a little pep talk,
right?
Without, you know. So yeah, man, what's going on, Otis? Otis says, great class tonight. I really enjoyed Jeff's drum knowledge and spirit. I agree. John Chalden, what's going on, my brother? Inspiring conversation. Thanks, gentlemen. So, Robert Boone, great episode. Awesome, man. So, you know, and this will be up on our YouTube in the live category. We're currently working on trying to get, we want to try to get all the episodes out in the front on our YouTube channel so people don't have to look at them. So we are looking into that. We got Brian Falgu, who is sort of helping us with our media stuff now. So we're gonna get to getting everything nice and organized. He's been throwing up some cool performances from around the city of different musicians. So that's exactly what we want, is just to promote not only ourselves but other musicians in the area that are doing great things, and so more videos are popping up on our channel. Go to Local Musicians XP on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell. It'll notify you when we drop new videos or when we are live going on with our show Tuesday night. And other than that, man, I'm gonna be at Jeff's show on. You're coming too. You have something before that though, right?
Yes, but I'm heading straight over there after. I'm glad he said 9 o'clock. I'll check the website, but I'll be coming hot and heavy from somewhere.
Yeah. Even if even if they're gonna do. I'm sure they're doing 2 sets, so you'll be there.
I don't want to
but I'm definitely gonna make it over at From the Earth Brewery. Man, great spot. Over off of Holcomb Bridge. And they have actually 2 venues. They have an inside and an outside. So I'm thinking this will be on the inside. Yeah, so looking forward to seeing that. And it's gonna be a lot of blood on the stage, just like you said. So this is not one for the if you come in for a nice peaceful evening of music you can talk to. You can have a conversation with at the table, and
right.
This ain't that.
Yeah, you ain't no time to romance the stone, bro. You ain't got no time for that. It's serious business.
So it's serious business. Them cats are there to leave it all out there. So so come on out From the Earth Brewery and hang out at the show and check out Jeff and his trio will be there, and hopefully several others will be there as well.
Yes, sir.
So Neil says no smooth jazz at that show. Absolutely nada. So cool. Well, thanks for everybody for hanging out with us. We will be back next week with another artist, good friend of ours, and sometime business associate and leader of her own band. Miss Rhonda Thomas will be joining us next week. Look forward to hearing that. A lot of man, really look forward to this conversation as well. Rhonda spent a lot of time with the great Isaac Hayes as a background singer for Isaac Hayes. So she will have some great stories to tell about Isaac and his whole organization and being in that. I'd never heard anything bad about him or about, people that played with him ever, man. And he's one of the true icons of all time. So looking forward to that conversation. She will be with us next week. And you got anything else to add,
episode
my man?
30, brother.
Episode 30. That's right. Right. So, all right, guys, until next week, y'all have a great week. Stay safe, and we will see you guys next Tuesday. Peace.